Hey everybody, I'm Anthony, and this is a dynamic review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Episode 8, The Well. Now, just so you know, I will be talking about the whole episode, and it will contain some spoilers. I'll be pointing out things that I noticed about the episode, so if you want, super details, then you should just watch the episode. I have a link down below in the descriptions to the Watch ABC, where you can watch the full episode there. Alright, so I said last week that I'd make this review because this was supposedly supposed to be the big tie-in episode between, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. obviously, and Thor the Dark World. Well, it was for the first 3 minutes of the episode. Then it went off to this weird... before I say weird, it was Thor related. It wasn't a tie-in as much as it was a related episode because, well, it was Asgardian related. Basically, this episode tied into Asgardian lore and Asgardians. It had really nothing to do with Thor, unless Thor is the spokesperson for every Asgardian. But yeah, this episode, I understand that they were airing it now because Thor came out. But really, this could have come out anytime. There was no reason or tie-in really to Thor. They could have put the 3-second clip anywhere in the season at the beginning of any episode. So with that in mind, I really wasn't sure if I was going to like this episode. I was already ready to be angry. I sat there oh, this is going to suck, complaining throughout the entire episode, which I did, and I probably would have done anyway because it's just not that great storytelling. But basically, in this episode, these two really unrememberable villain characters, I think his name is Jacob and Petra, they're searching and collecting these pieces to this staff, this ancient Asgardian weapon called the Berserker Staff. Basically, this Berserker Staff, when you hold it, you can you get super strength, I think, and you become engulfed in this rage. So technically, if you want to look at it that way, this is a Thor and a Hulk tie-in because they basically get Hulk powers. So in that sense, yeah, why not call this sorry, I'm babbling at this point. Why not call this a Hulk tie-in? That's just my thought. Anyway, so these two villain characters, just two regular people who find the staff and become enraged by it and have super strength now. They go on this rampage through the city and they leave this sign or this marking that says "We are gods." So they're trying to find the rest of the staff because once they have it, they'll become all powerful and they'll take on the world and control it and be the gods of this world. And then you come to find out that they're gathering people. They're bringing all these someone said it was a Norse paganist hooligans, and they're gathering all these other people who are angry too and have this almost cult thing. But so Coulson and his team are sent out and they look for this guy named Dr. Elliot Randolph, not Rudolph, Randolph, and he's an expert of Norse mythology and Asgardian mythology. Then, spoiler alert, later on you find out that he actually is an Asgardian, and he was the original owner of this Berserker Staff, 10,000 or 1,000 years ago. And when the Asgardians left, he stayed behind because he fell in love with somebody and then broke his staff off into 3 pieces and hid it across the planet. Not across the planet, just across one continent. You'd think if you had an ultimate weapon, you'd at least break it off and put it in different places and no one could put it back together. And they followed these ancient rhymes and, other things of how to find it. So my thing is, if you're trying to hide something, you don't want anyone else to find it, and only you know where it's at, why leave hints on where it's at? Once again, that's just me. So anyway, as this episode goes on, Agent Ward, who's, the Boy Scout character, the stern character, the never smiles, the business before pleasure person, he's there and he touches the staff. Well, when he touches the staff, he becomes engulfed in this rage, and he keeps having flashbacks of when he was a kid. And you find that it's his brother in a well, but he has these flashbacks of this kid drowning in a well, looking up and seeing someone looking over him. Well, you come to find out that the person looking over into this well is Agent Ward, and the kid in the bottom is his little brother. And so we're guessing that his brother died in this well, and Ward holds himself responsible and blames himself for his brother's death. But really, you don't find anything out in this episode. They don't make it clear. They kind of just hint. And basically, this entire series is we hint at what could happen, and then ultimately later on in the series, maybe in the last 2 episodes, we'll explain everything at once. So, that's really annoying. That's a big pet peeve for me. But to keep going, so Agent Ward becomes, engulfed in this rage, and he's always angrier, angrier, and he keeps in these flashbacks, and then he, snaps on different people of the team. He attacks Fitz, saying, "Oh well, I need to be there because if something bad happens, I can protect everyone. Unlike you." He tells Sky that she talks too much, which is true. That's all she does is talk. She really has no purpose on this team. I mean, if she doesn't really do anything, they could find a hacker anywhere. But, like I said, that's not relevant right now. So anyway, all this happens. They go looking for the other pieces, and they encounter the group of the villain characters, Jacob and Peta, and they kind of fight variously. But there's a lot of car throwing, a lot of bad CG car throwing, which ultimately leads to them finding out the last pieces in this church or this monastery where Dr. Elliot's character hid the final piece of the staff, and the like I said, the villains found out where it was. So they all kind of have this big final battle in this monastery area, and Ward fights off Jacob, the main bad guy, beats him, and then the female character Petra, I keep saying her name wrong, but she attacks Ward, kind of knocks him down, and then the staff kind of falls away. And Agent May, the one who never smiles. She's, a very dry character, but for some reason everyone loves her. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, she's so cool because she shows no emotion." No, she's boring. Like, all she ever does is look at you. She just glares. I mean, not much to that character, but she picks up the staff and, she beats Petra, and, she does it with a really cool way. She, swings her staff around, and it's really cool. But then she just puts the staff down, and everyone's like, "Oh!" And Ward, especially, sees her do it, and she's not affected by the rage. She just puts it down, and then later on in the episode, he confronts her and says, "Hey, how did you not get engulfed by rage? How did you do it? I was engulfed, and I still feel rage." And then she ends up saying, "Oh well, my traumas, whatever they are, another big secret the series isn't going to tell us, and we're going to have to wait." 6 or 5 episodes to kind of piece together this puzzle of everyone's inner trauma or background story. Anyway, she says, "Hey, I deal with my issues every day, I don't bury them down below." Which you kind of think she does, and she's never happy, and she's boring. But she says that she keeps her trauma and her issues, she handles them and she deals with them differently than he does, and so she's in complete control all the time. So, that's kind of cool. And then eventually, excuse me, during the end of the episode, Ward's down in the bar getting a drink, and Sky comes up and says, "Hey, if you ever need anything, I'm here for you." That's what we're supposed to do. So you think there's a romantic moment between the two of them where she's saying, I don't know if you guys can hear that. They're working on a power line outside our house. We were hit by a big storm recently. If you guys heard about it, obviously. There were a bunch of storms that went through the Midwest and did a lot of damage. So they're working on our power lines. So I don't know if you guys can even hear them, but it's kind of distracting right now. But with that being said, final part of the episode, you think that Sky and Ward are going to hook up, or at least develop a deeper connection. And he says thanks, basically, and he goes up to his room. Well, as he's walking to his room, he looks over and he sees Agent May walking to her room. And she kind of looks over him, and they have this weird, awkward, stare down. Then she opens her room, and he notices that she has a bottle of something in her hand. And then she walks into her room and leaves the door open. And then Ward looks, and then he follows her in, and then closes the door. So, one of 2 things happened here. Either they walked inside, and they talked about their feelings. They had a couple shots, and they were like, "Hey, this is my inner trauma. What happened with you?" Like a little AA meeting. Nah. Or they just... I'm guessing that's what they did, because, everything hints to it, but they never actually say. So now there's this big, love hexagon going on, because you think Agent May likes Coulson, you think Coulson likes Agent May, now you think Wade likes Agent May, then you think that Agent Ward likes Sky, but then you think he also likes Simmons, and you know that Fitz likes Simmons, but sometimes you think that Fitz likes Sky, so it's this intertangling relationship. Weird love, like I said, love hexagon. But yeah, so we really don't know. And at the very, very final scene of this episode, you get what you think is a flashback of Agent Coulson getting a massage into Healy, where he was supposed to supposedly recovered after his near-death experience when he was stabbed by Loki in Avengers. And you see him in a massage, and he says to the girl, he says, "Did I fall asleep?" And then the one replies, "For a little while." Now, I didn't know this until, my friends pointed it out. I guess Joss Whedon had a show that came on for a while called Dollhouse. And one of the things was they, programmed people. They, programmed agents and other people like that. And I guess that was a quote from the series. I don't know if that was just like a, hey, haha, this is like a past work of mine that I'm putting in here. Or they're actually going to say, hey, Dollhouse is actually a part of this, the cinematic, or the Marvel universe, and they actually programmed Agent Coulson. This also goes on the idea that he's not Coulson anymore. That either he is I forget, it's not dual body, it's a decoy body, or decoy life model. Basically, I think he's a robot. I ultimately think that he's going to end up being Vision. I still believe that because I think Coulson died and they just saved his brain and now he's a robot. Or he could be Wonder Man. Who knows right now? Like I said, this show, all it does is it builds up secrets and plots, and you keep waiting for them to answer stuff, and they never really do. So I guess I'll have to wait till either the end of Season 1 or the end of Season 2 to find anything out. My final thoughts on this episode, starting with things I liked. I loved Clark Gregg as Agent Coulson. Like I said, he makes the show watchable for me. He's the only reason I watched the show anyway. I liked him in Avengers. I liked him in Thor, Iron Man. What else was he in? Thor, Iron Man, not Captain America. But anyway, yeah, I liked his appearances in the movies, and I like him in the series. I think he's funny, even when he's kind of geeky funny. Like, things that he says aren't really that interesting, but you still laugh anyway because you like Clark Gregg. And that's how I am. So, also, I like the Dr. Elliot character. I think he was a really strong character. He wasn't boring and dry like the others. He actually had something going for him. He had a background, and he explained it on one episode. You have to wait 6 episodes to kind of piece together, oh, wow, he had a brother who died in a well. That's why he's so angry, I think. Like Agent Ward. But yeah, so I liked it. I think those two characters, Clark Gregg and the Dr. Elliot Randolph character, kind of pulled this one together for me. And even the mythos that they had for the Asgardian play was really cool. Which that was also a downplay for me, was I was expecting this to be a Thor-related episode when it was an Asgardian-related episode. If they just said, hey, this is Asgardian, and it has to do with Thor's background, Thor's world, then I would have been okay, and I would have had high expectations for something to tie into the movie. The things I didn't like about this episode, like I said, I didn't like how they said this was a Thor tie-in when it wasn't. It was just an Asgardian-related episode. I also didn't like how they don't explain characters anymore. There's just all these unanswered secrets. I know that's their way of keeping us tuned in and keeping the suspense, but I mean, throw us a bone once in a while. You have at least 16 different background stories and different secrets that you're not explaining yet, and you keep hinting at them. Not even hinting at them. You keep pushing it in people's faces, saying, "Hey, we have a secret that we're not telling you yet." And, at least help us piece it together. Give us an idea of what's going to happen. I don't really like that. I mean, I guess I'm spoiled by Arrow, and, how Arrow slowly explains itself. Well, this show doesn't explain itself. It just says, hey, we have a secret. We might tell you, but we might not. And I really don't like that. I guess that's it for the things I didn't like. I mean, the things I didn't like about this episode kind of outweighed the good. And the series itself is just poorly written. You'd expect a lot more from Joss Whedon, but this show just is dry. And, I watch it just because I feel like there's going to be some kind of tie-in to this movie or the future of it. But I'm not getting that. So, that's pretty much my review of this episode. Also, I'm wondering, since they did this with Thor, they're most likely going to do this with Captain America, Winter Soldier. Now, before I get too far, in this episode, I want to say, wouldn't it be cool if they're tying to the Winter Soldier thing? They don't have to bring in characters. They could just say, hey, we were in the area at the same time. That's what I thought they were going to do for this episode, saying they were in London when the Asgardians attacked, and they were in the background handling stuff. So in this episode, when Winter Soldier's attacking, when I guess what I can tell is that Nick Fury gets hurt in the new Winter Soldier movie, that they're there, that they're in a car, or they're in the background, or they're aware of this happening, and they're dealing with it as it's happening, as the movie's going on. instead of saying, oh, like I feel like this one's going to be like this is a Captain America tie-in episode, and then they just relate to stuff that happened in World War II. Nothing really about Captain America. Said, oh, Cap was there, Cap did this, Cap did that. Look at my trading cards, and then that's it, which is what I'm really expecting. But it would be cool if they tied it in saying, hey, we were there at the same time, and everything that we do is related to what happened in the movie. What happens in the movie is related to happen to us. I think that'd be cool. I mean, reward us for being viewers. Reward us for paying to go see the movies and watching this terrible series. I mean, why not? So overall, I'm going to give this episode out of 5. I'm going to give it a 2.5. I liked a couple things, but I disliked more, and the things I disliked outweighed the good. So yeah. So keep checking on our the Dynamic Review and the Dynamic Buzz channel, because I'll also be doing a review for this week's episode of Arrow, which should be, I think it's Queens versus State. So I'm really excited about that, and we're also leading up to the big Arrow episode that introduces Barry Allen, the Flash. So I'm really excited about it. I'm going to try to do more episode reviews. So as always, I'm Anthony. Please stay tuned to our channel. We're going to try to post more videos. And like and subscribe to us. I'd really enjoy that. So as always, I'm Anthony, and this is a review. Visit us on our website at www.thedynamicbuzz.com. Also, like us on Facebook. We love getting comments from you guys, and follow us on Twitter. We, enjoy retweets. Also, while you're at it, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel and check out all our awesome videos and reviews.